Namaste. So, in this series on thoughts and aphorism, we are touching upon knowledge. So, what is knowledge? Um, right now, when we speak about knowledge, truth, these are words we use very, very casually. For instance, the most commonplace misunderstanding is what I see, I believe, and that is truth. Far from it. We have had webinars on that, so I'm not going to get into that. Seeing may be believing, but seeing is not necessarily truth. Because there are many things which are unseen, which are far more important than what is seen. A sannyasi who has shunned life and wears an ochre robe may be harboring all the greed for worldly things as an unseen factor, which will still drive him even in his sannyas. Whereas a person living the life of the world yet may be a sannyasi within. There's a very beautiful movie on this. I think it was Chitralekha, probably one of the old movies based on Bhagavati Charan Varma's novel. Okay, so that brings out this aspect that yogi in the world. We have the image of Arjun, Shri Krishna, Yogeshwar, being in the world yet not of the world. Whereas the stories of sannyasis, if you see outwardly, oh, he is a sannyasi. But we don't know the inner world is teeming with things. The second level at which we believe we know truth is the vital. Vital is driven by hawa ka jhonka. It pushes you in this direction. You think this is the truth and you leap at it. Then after some time you discover, oh, no, this is not the truth. Then you have something else, fancy. And at the level of the mind, we have opinions, prejudices, many things. Conditioning. That's why the first condition for gaining truth is either to come out of all these constructions. As long as there are constructions, we cannot find truth. And it's not easy because these constructions are built by nature for ascension. So you can't suddenly demolish. It's like the Zen Buddhist who suddenly tries to demolish. I don't like to call them as Buddhists. They've just tagged along Buddha's name. Because Buddha went beyond all symbols, so you believe that foolishly you suddenly drop everything, you are more likely to get mad and become infra-rational human being. So there are steps created by nature. That's why yogis in the Vedic age, they took that path of ascension step by step. Hill after hill was climbed. They did not, because they had to go beyond. It's like, same thing Mother says, you have to move from why nature is built like one illusion to another. It is illusion, but the next illusion will be little closer to truth. The third illusion will be still closer, till one day you cross that last barrier. But if you try to break it today, I see a lot of people doing that everywhere this context takes place. That Mother has said, that you're not here for philanthropy, so if you see a dog dying, you don't care. Why? Because this is an interpretation. You have to go beyond humanity, so human beings are object of ridicule. This is not what is meant. This teaching is, that's why for the great, for the mighty, for the strong, as the Gita puts it. It is not for those who will misuse the teaching to just get into a comfort zone and say, I am now a yogi and a mystic. One doesn't become by self-declaration or by even joining an ashram, or it's a effort. So then, even the mind cannot tell us what is truth. The buddhi, higher buddhi, or the soul, psychic sense. Psychic has this right discernment to know what is true and what is false. And it doesn't act according to set notions, preconceived ideas that this is truth and this is false, standard formats. So this is the aphorism which we'll read today. It's actually an invitation. The aphorism is aphorism number 9. What the soul sees and has experienced, that it knows. The rest is appearance, prejudice, and opinion. So ultimately, even a great teaching must be changed into actual living experience of the soul. That's why the mother says a teaching is profitable only if you live it. If you don't try to live it and only ratify, what is that word called? Memorize all the verses of the Gita. I have seen people, samalost kanchana. So they don't, they blur all distinctions. Samalost kanchana doesn't mean that you blur the distinctions. It means to know the one essence in all things. To be equal minded if you get this or lose that. But it doesn't mean that you have blurred now all distinction, that Hathi and cow, they are all the same. Like Peter Brookes' Mahabharata, where, Krishna tells in the Gita. That's not what it means. Because that's the truth of manifestation. This is the truth of essence. So this, how she says that what the soul sees and has experienced, that it knows, the rest is appearance, prejudice and opinions. So the mother comments, this Sri Aurobindo's aphorism, the mother comments, this amounts to saying that all knowledge which is not the result of the soul's vision or experience is without true value. So we may write books on truth, and yet we may not know the truth. We may have read a lot of literature of various kinds, including scriptural literature, which is necessary at one stage, general literature for the mind to grow wide and complex and supple, scriptural and spiritual literature to awaken us, to inspire us. But all this will be like a valueless check without the actual signature. It's like a credit card whose PIN you don't know. So it doesn't work. But you know this credit card has infinite value. You are looking for the PIN. MAA. Ma. No, that's my way of putting it. So the mother says, obviously there is only one solution to become conscious of one's soul. Till we have found to say definitively I know the truth is a statement which we should not indulge into. We can say, according to my present understanding, it will open the door to evolution and accommodate the understanding of others. See, that's how dogmatic religions are formed. And this completes the aphorism, unless one is conscious of one's soul, one does not have true knowledge. Therefore, the first effort must be to find the soul within, to unite with it, and allow it to govern one's life. Step 1. Some people ask, how do we know whether this is the soul? This is a very interesting question. Now, one of the things that is the most practical advice we give to people is to ourselves, that look here, the difficulty is solved by solving it. Meaning thereby, when you start walking, then you reach. If you ask standing here, then no amount of answers can justify, can clarify. Start walking, step 1, step 2. People say, what if we'll make mistakes? In fact, you will make mistakes. It is understood that in the great journey, anything that we are learning, so this is not something to be worried about mistakes. The important thing is, are we standing here or we are moving in that direction? So she clarifies that. I have already answered this question several times. Those who ask this question, by the very fact of asking it, prove that they are not conscious of their souls. Because as soon as you are conscious of your soul and identify with it, you have a positive knowledge of it, and you no longer ask how you are to know. But one sign which is very evident is that you are freed from the fear of death. Not because somebody has told you, but you become intuitively conscious of your immortality. So that goes away. There are many other signs, but that apart. And that experience can neither be counterfeited nor imagined. You cannot pretend to be in contact with your soul. It is something which cannot be contrived or counterfeited. It cannot be like that if I present myself in a very sagely presentable manner, I have found my soul. It doesn't work like that. So it is something Very different. When the soul governs your life, you know it with absolute certainty and no longer ask any questions. But the usefulness of the aphorism we have just read is to make you understand that everything you think you know, everything you have learned, anything that has come to you in your life through personal observation, deduction, comparison, even those things that we believe that no, I have worked it out myself. All that is a very relative knowledge on which you cannot found a durable and truly effective way of life. They are temporary scaffoldings, but they cannot become permanent ground. How many times have we repeated this? All that comes from the mind is wholly relative. The more the mind is educated and has applied itself to various disciplines, the more it becomes capable of proving that what it puts forward or what it says is true. This is one of the real challenges with the development of the mind. I think most of us have faced it, I have faced it. With the development of the intellect, you can actually prove everything. And that's why Sri Aurobindo says, at one time when you know that whatever you are saying, its opposite is also true, then you know that your mind is beginning to settle in some kind of knowledge. You can't have that absolute assertion because at a mental ground, at a mental level, and this is a stage through which human beings pass. So instinctively the mind can justify anything. Even from the scriptures it can justify anything. So there seems to be only one way out, and that is to go in search of one's soul and to find it. It is there. What a powerful way. It is there. It does not make a point of hiding itself. It does not play with you just to make things difficult. It is even more keen. On the contrary, it makes great efforts to help you find it and to make itself heard. It gives indications. It suddenly opens a door. Suddenly we are looking for something, an answer. And the soul will actually, even physically, make your steps move in a certain direction. Take a book and open it. We think it has been random event. No. There is something which gently guided you. And you got an answer. Because it has begun to now direct our life. Suddenly it make you see something which is important at that point of time for us to open a door. Only between your soul and your active consciousness there are two characters who are in the habit of making a lot of noise. The mind and the vital. So the mind tries to, are you sure? Is it? Maybe it may not work out. Do you do it? 100 things. And the vital though makes a whole bruha. Big noise. And because they make a lot of noise while the soul does not, or rather makes as little as possible, their noise prevents you from hearing the voice of the soul. And that's why inner quietude, all these practices, nishkam karma, meditation, inner quietude, peace, equanimity, are necessary elements to the discovery of the soul. Otherwise, the noise of the vital and the mind prevents us from seeing it. When you want to know what your soul knows, you have to make an inner effort. So the soul already knows, it has all the knowledge inside. And it can apply, it has, or let me put it like this, it has the light which doesn't make mistake. It may seem like a mistake through the outer mind. So all that it needs is to throw that light and you see the thing. So that is how it knows. And it will show what is necessary as that step. It doesn't make a rigid rule for all times. At that point of time, that is needed, and the soul will throw the light, torch light, and show us. But you have to make an inner effort. If you are attentive, behind the outer noise of the mind and the vital, you can discern something very subtle, very quiet, very peaceful, which knows and says what it knows. Very, very quiet space. So that's why no decision should be taken in a state of agitation, excitement, anger, vital jumping. I must do it like that. Vital will push like this. That is the time to be quiet. When there is a lot of confusion flying around, there's the time to practice quietude. And when there is a settling of this storm, when things are quieter, then something can be probably heard. But the insistence of the others, that is the mind and the vital, is so imperious, while that is so quiet, that you are very easily misled into listening to the one that makes the most noise. Most often, you become aware only afterwards that the other one was right. It does not impose itself. It does not compel you to listen, for it is without violence. And the soul knows that it has complete faith in the divine. So even when the mind and vital are going this way, it still knows that eventually through everything it will be brought to the journey. So it will wait for the right moment. Once again it will intervene. So like that. When you hesitate, now she's saying something so beautiful. When you wonder what to do in this or that circumstance, there come the desire, the preference, both mental and vital, that press, insist, affirm, and impose themselves, and with the best reasons in the world, build up a whole case for themselves. And if you are not on the alert, if you don't have a firm discipline, if you don't have the habit of control, they finally convince you that they are right. And as I was saying a little while ago, they make so much noise that you do not even hear the tiny voice or the tiny, very quiet indication of the soul which says, don't do it. See, and if you look at how the soul, the closer we draw to it, the decision, see, one of the things that the mother has said, that how to know what is true and what is not true, what is right and what is wrong. She says, when you make a decision, before we discover the soul, says, in general, take it as a rule that whatever brings harmony, see, truth is supreme harmony and delight, brings inner joy, peace, brings things together, unites them in a collaborative effort, increases light, that you can know is generally coming from the divine. Whatever brings confusion, chaos, disruption, dislocation, disunion, division, in general one can know that that is not coming from the soul. The closer we go to the soul and the soul begins to emerge into our decisions, we act on the basis of more love, compassion, kindness, gratitude, because these are the soul elements. Thirst for progress, these are the things which the soul wants. Of course, the vital can masquerade what is progress. And that's why mother says, when people wanted to change the department, she says, if you change department, it won't help. At one place she says, changing house will not change you. But if you change yourself, you won't need to change the house. So, people who are always wanting to change circumstances, situations, running from one to another. Whereas the thing to be changed is the attitude and orienting to the soul. And then she says, with this, it's a powerful help, a considerable progress on the path toward the discrimination between what is and what is not the soul. With this discrimination and the necessary sincerity, you are sure to reach the goal. But then, here now she says something very interesting. It's not like, this decision was not according to the soul, this is my soul decision. So she is reminding us, but you must not be in a hurry. You must not be impatient. You must be very persevering. You do the wrong thing 10 times for every time that you do the right thing. There will be many approximations. As we are saying, many illusions through which you go. That's how one gets ready to find and listen. So, that phrase, Rome was not conquered in a day, applies here. Those who are in a hurry, I have found my soul, I have taken this decision. Yes, of course, the soul is found and there is the aha phenomena. Definitely not a aha that of aha kind, but more of that inner, that joy and peace in which one can remain for days and weeks. And then it begins to take over, change nature. But while we reach there, there are several approximations. But when you do the wrong thing, you must not give up everything in despair, but tell yourself that that the grace will never abandon you, and that next time it will be better. That's why one moves. Divine has created this world in such a way that you move from one classroom to another, learning just a little, till finally we are one with the soul. So, in conclusion, we shall say that in order to know things as they are, you must first unite with your soul, and to unite with your soul, you must want it with persistence and perseverance. So, instead of wanting this and that and this change and that change, let us focus on the change of consciousness and discovery of the soul. And for that, what is required? Only the degree of concentration on the goal can shorten the way. Perfect program for 1 year.